Okay, folks, let's get started. Friday evening edition. We'll see what we can get done. Where we left off last time was we're still finishing up the touches on the Panzer IIIs. And I don't know if I left off on a live one or not, but the last thing I did was work on these on the hatches for these Panzer IIIs, and they turned out really well. It's probably one of the things I've done, of all the things I've done in the last 5 years, the one thing I've impressed myself more than anything else was these hatches. And these are hatches that a couple of weeks ago, both of these tanks did not have hatches on them. I lost mine, and the one that I bought at the estate sale didn't have any. So I'm like, well, and it's a split hatch, so I wasn't going to build a hatch that was split and put all of the three-dimensional stuff to it, because that takes way too long for a war game model. So I decided to paint the top of these hatches like it's split, and I'll be damned if it's not the best thing I think I've done in the last 5 years. It was super easy to do. So now one of the tops of these is kind of boogered up to begin with, but this is the one that I bought off the estate sale. There was just tons and tons of super glue on it, so we tried chipping some of that away, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. So we're going to paint some shovels and stuff like that on here. Add the let's go ahead and add the gunmetal type stuff to it. Because I'd like to have these two completely done by this weekend. Now, tomorrow morning, there will not be a painting session because I got to leave extra early. I got to go out of town for a car show. And I got to be on the road before 7 a.m., so I don't really want to interfere with that. I'm just going to put a little bit on the shovel here and on this breaker bar. And on this S-hook. We should have our normal schedule on Sunday, but not tomorrow morning. Okay. And we might as well do this other side. This other tank. There's two. And I actually bought this thing by accident 20 years ago. I saw Panzer IIIF and I got it, not knowing that the Panzer IIIF originally started with a 37. To me, the 3F was always a how'd we get that happen? Was always a 50 millimeter gun tank. So I wanted a tank for early Barbarossa, and although they did use these, they're definitely second tier with a 37 millimeter gun. Oh well. And then the other one just happened to be in the estate sale, so now I got a pair of them. All right, we need to... That jack is going to need to be re-glued. That thing is a pain in the butt. I didn't want to cogitate on that for too long. Let's try doing something. Let's set this off. Let's set the turrets off to the side. Let's see if we can't glue something on here, because I'm going to have to paint the tracks and everything. I don't want to grip the side of the vehicle. Clankety clankety. There you go. Let's see. Let's get a couple more of these. A couple more of these. Okay, and where's the center of gravity of this thing going to be? I've got a hole there, so we got to put it either in front or behind. If we put it behind, it balances pretty well. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. And I think we're going to use epoxy just for security. I got lots of screws, and I got lots of corks, like a lot. And we're going to reuse them, so this just happens to be ones that are out in the process of being worked on. Stephen Gross, welcome. A little different style of painting, 15 millimeter ancients. A little bit. A little bit. Long overdue, messing with World War II stuff. Long overdue. I got plenty of 15s painted for what I got coming up the next 5 or 6 years. We're going to do some of this stuff, and the intent is to game with this stuff, but who knows if that'll happen. Just with the intent of that, but that's not necessarily the end goal. The end goal is I want to paint me some tanks. And I want to read about World War II stuff that I haven't read in 20 years. All kinds of new stuff's out there, and websites, and all kinds of stuff that wasn't available when I stopped. All kinds of figures that I have that are no longer made. I was watching a really cool video the other day that I came across. It's a video game that just really spoke to me as a World War II video game. And it's actually a mod for a video game. It was incredible looking. It was one that was like a battle of Silo Heights, April 1945, on the outskirts of Berlin, with the Soviets pushing on the last remnants of the Wehrmacht. So I watch a video and I'm like, well, that's cool. I wonder if they got something else. You know, I'm ready to buy it. So they've got some early Russian Barbarossa stuff. Oh, let me check that out. 5 minutes in, a Panzer IV makes its appearance with a long 75. I'm out. How'd you guys miss something so obvious? You've been working on 1/6000 World War II warships. Awesome. If I got back in a naval, that's the scale I would do. That's the scale I would do, because the game scale is always compressed, but it would be more aligned with the actual game scale. We used to do 1/2400, and I had over 300, and probably 150 of them painted. But, you know, I got same thing when I did model kits. I'd buy, they released a new ship. So I'd open it and glue some of the stuff on it, start painting it, and then, oh, look, something else happened. I didn't finish it. So, but we used to play that a lot. I mean, not as much as we played DBA, but we used to play it a lot. A lot of Sea Creek 4 on the floor and range estimating, and I'm not range estimating anything. There's a couple things I don't want to do anymore, ever again, and range estimating is one of them. Playing on the floor is another one. And I can get up off the floor. It's just uncomfortable, you know? I'm uncomfortable every day at work, so, you know, I have no interest to do that for free. But 16000 stuff looks pretty cool. The only thing I don't like about 16000 is I'm not a fan of those pre-built waves that those things have. Kind of like goes back to what's that Warlord game stuff that they do in like 1800 scale, and they come like on a flip-flop. That's not for me. I would rather not paint the waves at all. I'm just fine with a blue background. But all the little ships, all the destroyers and such, they're cast in with that on them. And I'm like, you know, I've got some modern ones. I put them on tongue depressors with magnets, and I think they look pretty sharp. I don't even know why I got them. I wanted to paint them. I was thinking of doing something in Southeast Asia with like the Japanese. I got a Japanese force and a Chinese force fighting over those islands that they're building out of nowhere. But how long you guys gonna take to dry? Oh, you're about dried. Let's move your happy ass over here. Ooh. Yeah, we gotta paint the tracks and stuff like that. But I would do 6000 scale if I got back into it. Yeah, absolutely. The waves can be removed with clippers. It just seems like a lot of work. And they got to sand the guys down. And I've actually seen somebody paint the waves really well. And he did a couple of videos of him doing it. And I liked his painting style a lot. But he wasn't painting them for himself. He was painting them to sell, kind of as a side gig. But I think he did a really good job with them. But I am super anal retentive when it comes to the world wars. I can't play anything abstracty. So I've got to play something Sea Creek related if I'm going to play naval stuff. I wanna find out exactly where that shell lands and what it does. Not just, you know, it does a certain amount of damage. So, you know, that's all we used to do. That's all we used to do in the late 80s and the early 90s is Sea Creek 4 at that time. I remember we played, one of my favorite actions was waiting for these guys to dry. One of my favorite actions was the battle, what's called, I always called it the New Year's Eve battle. But apparently the correct name for it is the Battle of Barents Sea. And that's when, in this convoy towards Russia, the Kriegsmarine sends out the heavy cruiser Hipper and 3 destroyers, and the pocket battleship Lutzow and 3 destroyers, and they split up and hit the convoy from both ends. And it happens on New Year's Eve of 1942. An actual convoy, escorted by a handful of destroyers and the close support by. Man, I haven't thought about this in a long time. Light cruisers Sheffield and Jamaica? I want to say that's what it is. So a couple of heavy, I mean, they're pretty heavy for light cruisers. They got 12 6-inch guns. Of course, the problem is they don't have armor in a lot of places. And basically, it's in the dark and star shells and all that kind of stuff. And I remember we played that on the floor with a friend of mine on the 50th anniversary of the game. So, on New Year's Eve of 1992, we played that on the floor. Justin J-Dog, welcome. Bigger ships have to be mounted on the base with the waves so you can mount them separately on a stand. Maybe it's not the ones I have. I've got the Hallmark ones. All the little ships are the ones that are stuck on a freaking base, and I can actually put the big ships by themselves, but Anyhow, I've done plenty of naval gaming. Letting these things dry. Come on. We good? We good yet? Oh. Well, I messed this one up. I mounted it on the hole. Well, it doesn't really matter. We're going to pop this thing off before we do it. Okay. This is temporarily enough. Let's get some... okay, this one needs the metal color applied. Cool. And then we'll paint some shovels, and then we'll do the tracks. Yeah, that's the problem with the destroyers. I don't want them on bases, but oh well. I didn't like him at all. And then I saw this one guy that I became friends with him on Facebook. He's from Canada, and he did a really good job coloring the bases and everything. He gave them a wash. They look good. They look really good. But if I had to do it again, that's what I would do, especially since I sold all mine. One of the first things I ever sold on eBay, I sold them all. Unbuilt ones, ones that were half built, half painted, fully painted ones. And I recouped my costs, for sure. I know that I made money, but I recouped my costs because when I bought them, they were significantly cheaper than what they ended up being when I sold them in the early 2000s, 2000 and maybe 2010. So I hadn't used them in 10 years, over 10 years. So I'm like, and I didn't want to look at them. They weren't like really well painted. My painting had improved. I liked my level of painting a lot more. So I was either redo them, rebuy them, or just get rid of them. And I just didn't want to look at them. Ended up using the money for the hobby in a different direction. So no regrets. Well, I bought some of those ships. They were like $5 when I sold them. They were going for like, 15. So even if I sold some of them for $8, I was still ahead. And so was the person buying them. All right, where is... I think we've been using beige brown. Is it this one? There it is. Able to watch for a while. What vehicle am I working on? This is a 2-pack of Panzer III Fs, but the early Fs with a 37mm gun. One of them is one that I rescued from the estate sale and redid it. And neither one of them had hatches, and I built a solid hatch and painted it like it was split. And Mediterranean, that's my favorite theater. Yep. Got some SS half-tracks on order for Flames of War and SS ground units. What makes the half-tracks SS? What's that one guy that was out there in Normandy that was the SS commander? Meyer. Kurt Meyer, I think. The Hitler Youth. Fighting the Canadians over that airfield outside Caen. Never did finish reading that book. It seemed like I was like taking notes of it back when I was doing like armor and stuff. It's a pretty good book. It's the only SS book I have that I can think of. Where is it? It's a really good book. Steel Inferno. And it's got a crooked spider on there, so, don't get upset. But, yeah, here's my book. Here's my About halfway through. And first SS Panzer Corps in Normandy. Not particularly interested in the SS. I just know that they had some heavy units. And I do like tanks blasting each other. So okay, this stuff right here. Have you got any Crusaders? I'm not doing the desert. Otherwise I would. I love the Crusaders. We've been seeing you take on Count. We're not there yet. I don't have any infantry. I've got no desert. I've got no desert tanks. Sorry, and it's not because I don't love the desert, because I do. But this is an infantry heavy game, and I have no desert at the time. Nobody made any desert rats that I liked or Africa Corps. They might now, but you know, I do love the desert. That's my favorite. That's my favorite theater: the desert and Barbarossa. Well, the whole Russian front. Getting all kinds of SS on Flames World website, and they have tons of SS. Only reason I'd do them is it'd be a challenge to paint their uniforms. A challenge I'd take up now, because before I'd be like, whoa, I don't want to touch that. Now I'd be like, let's try to kick some ass with it. But no, I do not have any desert vehicles. Unfortunately, because I love me some Crusaders and Honeys, and not a fan of the Valentine. Okay? Not a fan of the Valentine. I'll just come right out there and say it. Valentine got better as it got, but a Valentine with the 2-pounder, it just looks like it's missing something. Like some giant stepped on it, you know. But I do like Crusaders. Crusaders, Honeys, and Matildas. Big fan of all three of those. Counter, yeah. I would love to do a counter. The real counter. Not the one with the bullshit blue that we all grew up with. Bullshit blue. Well, I've got a few Panthers. I got one done, and I've got one that I salvaged from the estate sale, which is an old Airfix. I've got one from Britannia, which I don't mind their vehicles. I hate their infantry. I hate Britannia's infantry. It's funny because Britannia's infantry all have the same face, and when I went to the bookstore the other day, I came across this one guy who's an artist. I don't remember what his name is. And he has the same face on all of his guys. But I bet I have one of his books. I have, I got all kinds of shit here I haven't looked at in a long ass time. Oh, speaking of the SS, I do have these. I remember when these things came out, these were like the coolest books ever. Because you gotta remember, this is all pre-internet, okay? So there was no color photographs. You couldn't just look stuff up. And this is reenactors. I always thought this guy looked like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Doing in uniforms and stuff. And of course, this is no big deal now. You can just go on the internet and find it. But way back when, in the early 90s, there was no internet. No internet for this. Vehicle crews. You know. And there's lots of tricks that that people have now of being able to paint that stuff. Like I was scared of doing Zeltbahn. Just the standard trench, the tent quarters. But I mean, I haven't painted this stuff here. Here's the Wehrmacht camouflage uniforms. Yeah, this is Zeltbahn stuff. Because a lot of the helmets that I have on my infantry, the damn sculptor decided to give them the little covers that go on them. Let's see if I can find one that has a regular German helmet on it. Not the Fallschirm. Here we go. This shit. I hate it. I think it looks stupid. And then I have to paint Zeltbahn on it too. This guy here. They still make that magazine, German tank ace, Michael Whitman. So I just ended up painting it gray and forgot that it was supposed to be a thing because it's kind of clashy anyways. Let me see if I can find that artist. It is a compilation book that I have of a bunch of Osprey stuff, and I believe it is. Is it German Infantry Handbook? No, it's this German. This thing. I didn't realize it was German Army in World War II. I believe this is what it is. Yeah, this effer. Okay, this is actually a good book. I remember this kid. This is a compilation of different stuff. Who is the guy that I don't like his style? I don't know. It's this artist. Maybe you recognize him. Okay. This is just like Britannia. It's the same freaking guy. Here's Klaus wearing this uniform and wearing that. By the way, this is what I like. I like the Germans in this uniform. Almost like a lighter green, a more vivid green, and then the stone gray pants. I like that. But that's, early war stuff. But again, you're going to see the same bastard all the way around. There's the same face. Same guys again, just like the Britannia guy. If you look at Britannia miniatures in 20mm, you have the same guy, has the same face, and he's everywhere. He's on both sides of the lines. He plays a Russian, and he has a very dominant looking face. It's almost like James Coburn with like a really big face. Anyhow, I find Britannia annoying, but I have a Britannia. Panther to do. I have a BP cast one I don't have a barrel for that I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. And it has Zimrit on it. And then I have this Hasagawa one that I did finish in Ambush Scheme. But it's a G. And I want to do some research on the Panther units because certain divisions, particularly Viking is the one that springs to mind. 5th SS Viking, it was on the Eastern Front the entire time. It had a paint scheme that on their Panthers that they were like almost splinter. They were like big sections, if I remember correctly. And the Panthers are the only ones that have this Zimrit that is just squares. Instead of it being almost like a trowel, which I think actually looks really good, it's just squares. And so I want to read about that stuff. I was watching this other video that this guy does and these... His stuff is based for rapid fire, but he was talking about one of the units. I think it was the 1/16th Panzer in Normandy. Its Panthers were distinct that they actually had like extra road wheels, which the Panther road wheels are super big, attached on the turrets for extra protection. And I thought like, okay, well, I got to read more about stuff like that if I don't know anything about that. So. Nothing wrong with France 1940. I don't like France 1940. Russian Front 41, that's where it's at. I don't like Germans before Barbarossa. I don't like Germans at land. Couple reasons. I wouldn't do Poland because them having white crosses is just on their vehicles is stupid. I don't like it. And I don't like, I'll be honest with you, I do not like vehicles like these. I do not like Panzers without the turret bustle on the back. I think it looks like they're bald or something. It doesn't look right. I can tolerate it with some of the Panzer IIs. Okay, but my preference is German vehicles with the stowage box on the back of the turret. It just doesn't look right without it. You know, I guess I could do 1940 and just say F it. They have a turret box on these. They just, that's the only reason. There's no other reason other than that. I don't have anything against the French. Actually, I think it's kind of cool to be able to play the French when you get a chance because it's kind of a rare event. It's just I'm not into France because of that. Don't like German vehicles without the turret bustle, but I do like German vehicles gray. It's actually my preference. You feel like you went 10 rounds with Tyson. You have gauze stuck up my nostrils and I have to monitor for blood drip. Oh, man. I told you not to piss off your neighbor. What the hell happened to you? Today was extremely dry. I mean, I don't think I'm allergic to something, but I've been taking Allegra every day because the weather changed and it's just like dry. Just when the weather got nicer, because it was pretty damn miserable, and then it like got nice. I'm sure Mitch is all being a weenie running the heater. I don't know how the hell he survived in Illinois. Maybe that's why he moved down here. But I can't stand the heat. I love the cool weather, but I don't like the dryness. But I'll deal with it. You're particularly fond of France 1940, especially the defense of Calais by the British 30th Brigade. You have a deviated septum surgery earlier. I'm not a science guy, so I'm going to have to look that up. Sounds like a broken nose or something like that. Mitch is wearing shoes. I bet he isn't. Call his ass up. I bet he ain't wearing shoes. Which, I'm not wearing shoes. But I'm also not outside in a shed either, okay? If I was outside in a shed, I'd be wearing freaking shoes. I don't wear shoes in my house, but in the house, I go to the garage, I put shoes on. There could be madness, but there's got to be method. So like I mentioned earlier, there's not going to be any painting tomorrow morning. I got to leave early. I got to leave early for Daytona Beach for the day. Going to a car show that's supposedly taking place inside the Speedway, which I've never been inside of because, it's just people running around in a circle. So we'll see how that goes. I plan on filming some videos while I'm over there, but it went into my nose and changed it basically. Got thick gauze until Monday. Sex could be worse. I got the Osprey book on France. I've never wargamed it. Never wargamed France. I mean, I played a couple battles with squad leader and stuff, if that counts, but I've never played it other than that. Okay, what do we got left? We got to do the track color, right? Let's get some chocolate brown, because I want to weather these things up. I don't want to do that until they're sealed. Hey, that's what the guy in the video said, and I've been following it. And I'll look at what people's ideas are, and if they make sense, I'll try them. If they don't make sense, then I ain't doing that. You're really high right now. Okay. Well, maybe you were at the car wash with me earlier. I don't think I've ever been able to wash my car. I went to go wash my car today. I don't think I ever have washed my car and there hasn't been somebody smoking a joint. I haven't seen them, but downwind of somebody smoking a joint, which I'm fine. You can do all the drugs you want. I'm for everything being legal. I just don't need to smell it. There you go. That's it. Exactly. I can't ever go to one of those and somebody's not lit up and, downwind. Oh no, we need to put some black in this. Did you wash your car too, Rick? It looked like it from the pictures. I got a problem with my car. It seems like maybe it's not my car. Maybe it's everybody that drives a Charger. Everybody that drives a Charger wants to race me for some reason. And I'm like, I'm not here to race people. And if I would, we'd put one turn in it and they wouldn't be able to hold it. But I don't know what it is about people in a Dodge Charger, but first of all, it's an automatic. You don't race somebody in an automatic. That's just pressing a pedal. Anybody can do that. About to go drive a friend's house and check out their Halloween decorations, then on to game night. You have to dust that thing daily. Yeah, it's too much. That's too much work. I work at a concrete place, so I don't wash it every freaking day. It'd be like being tortured by Mother Nature. Did I ever tell you about the coolest Halloween decorations that I ever saw? I wish I would have taken pictures of them. There was this house that had this big oak tree in the front yard with a huge oak tree that was probably 100 feet across, probably with an overhang. 100 feet, maybe 70 feet. It was big, 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 big. It was a big property, big house, kind of in a she type neighborhood here in town. And they had taken these masks, like these monster masks. I don't remember which monsters they were. I know Frankenstein was one of them. And they had put them on like these dummies. They'd put them on like clothes and must have stuffed them full of like hay or something like that. And then hung them from the tree like, if we see some monsters, we're going to hang their ass. And it was hilarious because they had like 12 of them and, they're life size, hanging up in the air. And it was like, where the wolf man. And, it was like, basically you come over here to terrorize my house and this is what's going to happen to you, Oh man, yeah, definitely a way to run for his money. Definitely. How long is that supposed to last for? The You said you had surgery earlier today? Man. I know you said you had allergies real bad. I think we all have allergies to stuff. It just isn't significant to anything else. Significant to it keeps you from doing something. Oh, now you got a thing for the Coco chick. I don't know what people see in her, but okay. She's all yours. I never watched that show. The Nerd Burglar Show. But then most shows don't really appeal to me. But so you said you hadn't seen Big Sky? And I'm not getting sucked into any of the series that are coming out. That I never did finish watching Vikings. And then they had that Vikings Valhalla. I heard a couple things about it. I'm like, well, not watching that. I'm not watching that nonsense. There it is. Tonight's Nerd Burglar mention. There you go. So speaking of Nerd Burglar, I got some video recommended. I don't even know who it is, but it was some band that I'm on YouTube, you know, and sometimes I listen to musical stuff on YouTube because there's some really talented people on YouTube. But I don't know what the name of this band, but it's some band. Actually, when I found it, I didn't have the volume on, so I don't even know what kind of a music it is. But anyways, they all dress up as like a cross between the characters from McDonald's and like goth. And they play music and stuff. And I don't know who the hell they are. I don't know what kind of music. I'm sure it's some form of heavy metal or something like that. And I'm like, that's just weird. There was one of the characters was dressed like Mayor McCheese. But he had like these, almost like these tusks, you know, that was like an angry Mayor like, they must have been on some funny stuff. I told you about Vikings Valhalla and said I won't watch it. Yeah, I have to find out who it is, Rick. And it was some insane shit. And I don't know what kind of music they played. I would imagine it's something along the lines of like Slipknot or something like that. Not that I've ever heard Slipknot, but I know what that's all about. So I'll get to have a concert experience in a week, less than a week. So we're gonna go see Iron Maiden in Tampa, my brother and I. So hopefully everybody's my age and behaved. I don't think there's gonna be much of a problem. I don't appreciate people not behaving and being disruptive to each other. I think it'll be just fine. But I haven't been at a concert in 20 years, probably. Maybe longer. 20 years. Late 90s, 97, something like that. What's my favorite Maiden song? Well, I like them and I don't like them. I find that sometimes and when I first found out about them in the later 80s, 1990, I played Live After Death a lot. And I don't love the vocals. They're disruptive sometimes, and I think the drummer isn't a team player. He's like he's a little too jazzy sometimes where he wants to do his own thing. And I like melody. I'm all about the melody and the dueling guitars and stuff like that. So that's really what the appeal to me is. Now, with that said, Hallowed Be Thy Name. Hallowed Be Thy Name's a great song. Trooper's great. I don't know much of the new stuff because I hadn't listened to them in, I don't know, 15 years probably, and so much stuff has come out. Yeah, so I prefer to listen to music now that really doesn't have lyrics, and is, you know, and it can be, you know, heavy metal or whatever, as long as it's not too, like, I don't like Metallica at all. It's not melodic enough for me. Primus, My Name is Mud. Brave New World, my favorite song from Made. You know what band I found out about? Well, I don't want to say recently, but playing a video game. It's this band called, and they're not around anymore. I guess they fell apart. And I really wish they had done more stuff because I really like the way they went about it. It's this band whose song was featured in the end credits of Titan Quest. And Titan Quest is a ripoff of Diablo 2 and a much improved Diablo 2 in my opinion, set in Greek Greek and Persian and Asian mythology. So instead of it being the Diablo theme, it's the mythology of all that stuff, and it's same style of game or what have you. And it's a band called Ban Camaro. And what makes them unique is that, so what I understand is they have a chorus of lead singers. They don't have one person. They have like multiple people. So it ends up being, instead of it's just different. And their first album, I think, is particularly good. But, the problem with listening to stuff like that is, I end up speeding. Waiting my cold cell. Yep. Pulling up my boots. Pulling up my boots song. Oh, Die With Your Boots On? Yeah, if you're going to die with your boots on. I don't hear well, so I have trouble distinguishing lyrics. And so I like to listen to music just because of the sound. And then, I don't care about lyrics. And the song will be about whatever the hell you want it to be about. Not necessarily what they wanted to write it about. But music isn't that important anymore. I'm not 19 anymore. Music's a big deal when you're 19 or 18, 19, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Then it's... There's a lot of good free stuff on YouTube for music. There's some really talented people nobody's heard of. More talented than many people that are in bands and stuff. Not me. I'm definitely not musically inclined. This is the kind of artsy I am. Where is Wayne been? Maybe still sleeping on his floor. Yeah, I can't have any beverages while I do this, or I won't want to do this. I'll just won't care. I figure let me do this while the girls are out. They're doing a charity event that they do every year. Make sure we didn't miss any of these spots. And this is another company that went out of business. MMS is the name of this manufacturer, and they were really precision-oriented vehicles and stuff, and out of business. I left World War II for 20 years, and all these companies are out of business. Didn't realize they relied on me buying stuff so much. Hit the models with a clear coat. I do. We'll hit them with a gloss coat when we're done with this. We'll do weathering, and then I've been brushing on the flat. It's a lot more flat than the spray. And I've been pretty happy with how it turned out. Okay, I'm just gonna do this set of tracks, and then we'll lighten them up a little bit and go do the other side. These are all metal tracks, but I don't want them looking all orange and shit because, they are rusty. They're rusty and dirty, and this is the color that I happen to like how they look. We've got to put some of the worn metal on that idler wheel and the other one, but we can do that in the weathering stage. Model builds, I'd love to give some model builds, but I got to paint. I basically, what I did is I took all the stuff that I had half finished 20 years ago and finished them all up probably about a month ago. Now I'm going to paint them all. And when I'm done with them, I'd like to get some more because there's all kinds of cool stuff out there, but I don't want to, I got to earn it. I don't want to, it's not me being frugal. It's just being, at some point you need to enjoy the stuff you have. You just can't keep buying. That's how I got into my mess with with my ships. I kept buying, and eventually I'm like, man, this stuff looks like crap and it's unfinished, and sometimes you need to have a reset. So, I did look at what's available. I even put a couple things in my shopping cart today and didn't press buy. I've got pretty good self-control when it comes to that. I've made poor choices before. It's funny, I made those poor choices when I didn't have a lot of money, when I could have used to not have bought all that stuff, but that would happen to me with 1/35th scale models too. It's like I'd start working on something, and then I'm like, well, I don't know what color I'm going to paint it, but oh, look, I'll work on another model. So I'd leave things half finished, and it's just real frustrating to have nothing to show for it. So I'd rather not go in that route. Again, so like I went to the bookstore. There's this bookstore in Jacksonville that it's a used bookstore, but it's the size of a warehouse, and there's all kinds of stuff there. And I'm like, well, let me see what I can get, and and I ended up putting 7 or 8 things in my basket, and then at the end of the day, I'm like, I don't need any of this shit. I'm not going to get around to reading it. I just put it all back except one. I did take one book with me, and another one that I rebought because the previous one was not in the condition that I wanted to hold on to it. I bought it used from that place, and they had some markings on it. I'm like, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to look at that. I'm like, and they had another copy of it that did not have those markings. Because most of the stuff, it is a used bookstore, but most of this stuff is brand new. Like it's been sitting on a shelf and nobody bought it, kind of thing. Thumbed through a couple times, and that's about it. They're not in bad shape. But occasionally you get some book that somebody decided to underline a bunch of shit on, which is, heresy to the max. nice to your books. Okay, that's good enough for that one. We're going to go over, and obviously there's going to be weathering on it as well. We can do that in the weathering stage. I never saw the appeal of 1/48 scale for planes. Lots of people do them. I don't. I always had them in 1/72 hanging from a. Well, not here. You know, as a kid. The old MPC kits. They're a rebranded Airfix for those of us here in the States. I always liked the cover art on the MPC kits. But it's really funny finding that some of this stuff been in production for whatever. You know, there's some of the old Eschi models are now carried by Italeri. We used to call it Italieri. Italeri or Italeri, and you know, some of the old Matchbox kits are rebranded by Revell, and you know, it's interesting going back and looking and seeing where the hell are these old things that you remember from a kid, and you know, they're still around. Most of them floating around somewhere. Miniatures aren't. Some miniatures are, but some miniatures are not. I've got many World War II miniatures in 20 mil that are no longer available. Have to ask why 1/72? Because it goes with this. The one true scale. It goes with this. That's why. And everything's available in them. Back then, 1/48 didn't have everything. I mean, they might now. They got 1/48 scale tanks. They didn't have those when. There was one company that did have them, and I want to say it was called Nitto. Nitto. But they were shoddy and they didn't make everything, you know. But I think, you know, Tamiya makes 1/48 scale armor now. I'm like, what the hell happened? Of course, I haven't been doing armor since the early 90s. I haven't been doing World War II since the late 90s or early 2000s. 2002, something like that. I did order 100 heavy duty Litco, woo, base bottoms that are like for penny sized. So I'm going to start rebasing my figures, which the figures look fine. That the basing just looks, you know, ancient as I go along. I just don't want to play a crummy looking game. You know, I'll look at those magazines and be like, man, I want to play that. The rules may suck. I want to play that. I may have 100 infantry painted. Something like that. Close. You know, hey, for a game when you only need to be running 3 or 4 guys or 5 guys, that's plenty of figures. You ever hear of the black satellite in space? Nope. They coming to get you? I have very limited interest in space. Maybe if they put guns on them or something like that, I'd be a little bit more interested in them, but... I mean, I guess I was interested in some degree as a kid, but I didn't ever want to be an astronaut or anything like that. And I'm okay with planets. Once you start moving past our solar system, I tune things out. I just think there's shit out there that we don't have a clue what it is. You know, we don't even know what armor some Romans used, what was on some of their shields, or what's at the bottom of our oceans. They're like, oh yeah, that thing's 15 light years away. You ain't got a freaking clue how far away that is, man. That's some unfathomable shit you don't need to be worried about. Have we conquered this Earth first? No. All right, well then focus on that. They claim it's an alien satellite. Well, I'm very pragmatic when it comes to aliens. Show me one. Bigfoot's out there. Okay, show him to me. Bring him in. I'm not saying he isn't, but, you know, show me something. This is that overall color that was on before, that yellow crapsicle color. Well, you know, it's a rusted kind of thing. It'll work just fine. This poor tank was in really bad shape when I got it. So these are actually really nice models. They're very crisp. And just another company that just went out of production. I think it's one of those things where, you know, it's a small business. The guy doesn't have either anybody who wants to carry on the business or doesn't have any kids of his own or whatever reason. It's just, that's it. You know, the guy's, you know, he started it when he was probably in his 40s or 50s. And now he's, you know, 80 or he's up there and doesn't want to keep doing it. I don't blame him. You know, it happens. That's happened to a couple of sculptors recently, that they passed away or something like that, and their family didn't want to continue the business. Mitch has big feet. Oh, talking about Bigfoot. I try not to look at his feet. I'm not into feet on dudes, sorry. I know he's a Flintstone, though. He's always walking around barefoot. Oh, man. You talking about him when he's not here? Well, he doesn't watch the fucking program, so screw him. I don't think he's ever watched a single one of my videos, game videos or something on the side. We're going to have Mitch Hour. We're going to talk about him. The Mitching Hour. All right. We're not going to do the mufflers. The mufflers are a special kind of rust. They're nasty rusted. Nasty rusted. I think this is... Let's put the straight chocolate brown on top of it. I actually got the idea from somebody else to use this color. I don't remember who it was. Getting a beer. I had one of those earlier. Not while I was painting, but when I was finishing cleaning the car. Which I can only do so far because come Monday it'll be trashed with the swirling dust and stuff at work. Oh well, at the end of the day, it's just a car, right? It's a tool. No, I am not on pain meds. Hey, it's your trip. You decide how you're going to take it. Stuff I like is that anesthesia when they took my wisdom teeth out, however many years ago it was, which, talk about a breeze. That was a freaking breeze. Other than it's like, okay, for 3 days, all you can eat is ice cream, jello, and yogurt. Next time you're hungry, try eating only ice cream, jello, and yogurt and see how much you have to eat to get full. The answer is all of it. You can't get full on ice cream, yogurt, and jello, especially not jello. So after like 2 days, I'm like, F this. I'm going to eat something. And, they didn't want, like, it wasn't a pain issue. We just didn't want food to get into the, piece of cake. Piece of cake. But they give you that anesthesia. It's like, all right, count to 10. I'm thinking in my head, I can make it to 5 easy. 1, that's it. That's all it took. That's all it took. I got this in the bag. 1, see ya. Bye-bye now. All right, what ugly rustified color did we use? This marron naranja, orange brown. Yeah, I have to do a soft diet until tomorrow. Had some pudding, applesauce, and ice cream. You're not going to get full. The only pain meds I've ever taken is, I don't know what it was, but I was in a car accident, and really nothing happened to me, but I had some spots on my knees that blistered up really bad. It looked really, really bad, and I wasn't really in any pain, but they gave me this pain things, and it didn't knock me out. It confuse you. It would confuse you, and it was really interesting because I was trying to figure out, like, okay, what exactly is this doing to me? And you'd be like, I went to work and I was on these pain meds, and it would confuse you. You'd look at, like, I'd be adding stuff on a piece of paper, like 7 plus 5, and you're like, that's 14, isn't it? You would, like, doubt everything. Like, you would remember that it was like an even number, right? But you'd be off by like a couple numbers. Just confusing stuff like that. Not super confusing things like, am I supposed to walk in front of a train or something? Or, I wonder what this blade does. Not stuff like that, but just like computation was just, foggy. Nothing more than that. Just, it was weird, Ate a fruit bar. Oh, those are good. Polish Pilsner beer. Where are my Poles at? I used to have some people that were from Poland that would come on here. I'm never building a Russian vehicle that's a Polish liberation vehicle. Polish Liberation Army. Yeah, that's Russian enslavement is what that is. That's bullshit. Not falling for the white eagle that they put on that vehicle. Those are still commie bastards. He's debating whether or not just want to go back to sleep when coming out of the knockout stuff. Ooh. I like everything, even vodka straight. I can't believe I said that. But at the last con, somebody offered me like straight vodka, and I'm like, okay. And yeah, I drank it extremely slowly, you know, but it was actually okay. Rum is probably one of the ones I like the least. It's too sweet. I don't like alcohol and sweet. Gives me a raging headache. I don't really drink sweet things. And it's one of those things when you don't drink them and then you do, I ended up getting a headache. So. Muffler here. And we'll add some corrosion to that. I don't think I've ever seen a German tank with a muffler that wasn't corroded massively. I guess they had all their factories in some place in Germany that was very moist. Okay. That's not bad. This has got to be the refurb one, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it's missing parts on the muffler. The little tubes that come out, it's missing those. It's a War Games model. Yeah, it's either that or you don't do anything with it. So, you make the best of it. And that reminds me, I need to pull out that Panther. This has got to dry a little bit before we go to the next day. Someday. Yeah. Yeah, I used to smoke cigarettes 28 years ago or something like that. 28 years ago? I don't know how many years ago. It was 1998. 99, 20, yeah, many years ago. So I ain't smoking anything ever. Let's see, is Mr. Panther down in here? Or I got him somewhere else. I want you guys to take a look at this. This is a BP pass thing. Something else that's out of production. Everything seems to be out of production. And I realized that. I'm like, why am I gonna let people see this stuff? No point in me hanging out with stuff, hanging on to things that aren't made anymore. I mean, they don't have any value. It's just nostalgia, It's not, ooh, you've got that priceless thing. Nah, these things are all worthless. They might be worth it to War Game folks, but. So I got this Panther here with no freaking barrel. I don't know what the hell happened to it. And it's really pretty rough. Let's hoping I need to find like a kid at a garage sale and just steal the barrel for it. Let's set this over here for the side. Am I planning any live sessions over the weekend? Sunday. Yeah. Sunday, but not tomorrow morning. This thing's really, really rough. Ooh, this thing's really... This might be we might have to make a burn victim out of this thing. This is really, really rough. I haven't done anything to it. Well, at least it doesn't smell like mothballs anymore. This resin almost smell like mothballs. See if I can get some light on it. Look at this part around this hatch. What is this? This is an A. It's an A because it doesn't have the hatches on the wrong way. But oh, and it doesn't have Zimrit. I thought it had Zimrit. I'm not worried about it then. I'm not worried about it. We might make it a burn victim. Knocked out on the side of the road or something like that. Yeah, it's really pretty rough. You can tell that it's got stuff. You know, there's normally bubbles in resin. This actually has bubbles that come out. Like, look at this. This shouldn't even be here. This piece, yeah, that piece shouldn't be there. Need to fill like this in. You know, here's another piece that shouldn't be there. You know, so it's like this. Is this worth me screwing around with and buying a barrel for it? I don't know. I mean, the running gear isn't too bad. You know. Yeah, there's that smell. You smell like mothballs. Whatever he was using for the resin. This is actually a guy that used to come to our shows. There you go. Get out of there. And sell things. And he made these back in the early 2000s and stuff. This cupula is just no bueno. It's got all kinds of... This stuff is in it. And the stuff is like all around it like this. It really shouldn't be. I was thinking this thing had Zimrit. It's the Britannia one that has Zimrit. And here's the side skirts. I'm not a fan of Panthers with side skirts. They look just kind of like, you know, training wheels on a bicycle. Who's that Britannia Panther? Everybody likes Panthers, right? This thing's got the Zimrit on it. And it's the square Zimrit. And it's square, but it's even got some spots that... Are they the same size? Yeah. It's wider here. This one's narrower. It's got some spots on here where they made it like it's been chipped. There's some chip markings down here as well. The running gear on here actually looks better than the Britannia one. This is actually a G. This is a Panther G because of the hatches, and it doesn't have a little peekaboo thing. It's got a periscope instead of the peekaboo, you know, hole. And the vents back here are different. But it doesn't have the strengthening chin guard on the front of the turret. Let's see. Does this? Kind of does. Well, that one doesn't because it's too big. Maybe we'll make this other one a Panther model. You can buy separate barrels, but they're like $8 or something like that. I'm like, why am I going to spend $8 on this when I can just buy another Panther for, for less. Make a, I could get a dowel or something like that and put a barrel out of it. Yeah, I don't think it's worth it either. You know, that's more as a shoe in. Yeah, it's. Oh, I got a bunch of half tracks. I got a bunch of half tracks to do. No amount of taunting with smaller Panthers will get me to get my 1/35th scale Panther kit to build. I took the Tamiya 1/35th scale Panther and bought, I think it was like $35 or $50, the resin parts to make it a D for Kursk. And I did. It was a separate turret and separate road wheels and all that kind of stuff. And that was a long time ago. That was probably 1993 or something like that. I wish in retrospect, I'd taken pictures of them, because I trashed them. I don't know. They probably look like crap compared to how they were. So wreck it, huh? Wreck it, Ralph. We could probably put a dowel or something like that. Put this somewhere where it's knocked out. Maybe put it in such a way that it's like this, and the barrel's like pointing at the ground, or I don't know. Yeah, I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth it. I was thinking this was an A. It's a G. Damn it. The G's were in Normandy. Oh well, we got all kinds of mixtures of things. Mixtures of things and mixtures of scales. Here's the one that's a 76 Matchbox. The turret is significantly smaller. And this thing is a G also. It's got the chin thing. Well, maybe we'll have to buy some Panther A's. Ha! Yeah. I like the D's just because I was a Kursk fanboy. Oh, this has a hole in this bag. Interesting. I wonder if the shit in the resins ate through it. All right, I'm muffler's right now. Oh, I got to check on one thing. I'll be right back. We got to switch some laundry. Be right back, folks. Okay, we're back. All right. Next build. The next build I'm going to do, I don't have many more things to build, but I do have that horrendous Russian kit of the JSU 122 that is probably 90%, probably 95% done. We hop on over to the Russians, or the late war Russians. We'll finish it up. It's horrible because it has no markings where some of the stuff is, and the pieces have a lot of flash on it, a lot of flash. I've actually never seen something that has as much flash as it has, but in Soviet Russia, you know. And we're going to have to put antennas and stuff like this. I'm not going to mess with that right this second. There's going to be some of it in the after phase. So, having trouble with bandages. Sounds like something a mummy would say. Having trouble with some bandages. I think they're pretty much ready to spray. And obviously they're going to, I could continue tinkering with these forever. I don't want to do that. We have only 100 other vehicles to paint. So one thing I learned from this is do not spray them now in the dark, or you end up getting too much spray and it just destroys everything. So a couple things that we need to do. The next Panzers that are up that we already did something with is the Mark IV F2 and the Mark IV F1. You know what? It is getting pretty late. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to go off because I do need to stay up until the girls get home, which may be another hour or so. And we're going to switch to Battle of the Bulge. We'll go play some Battle of the Bulge. We'll stop this video and start some Battle of the Bulge. That'll keep me awake. Otherwise, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make it. So we will continue painting probably on Sunday morning for sure. And by that time, these guys will already be sprayed, and we'll be working on something else. Okay, well, until next time, thanks for stopping by.